All right, we back at it. Homegrown Radio, live and direct, man. N.W.A. once again.
Shout out to Generation Now.
Yes,
Shout out
man.
to my brothers, Lake.
Yes.
Shout out to Drum. Shout out to Don. Appreciate the hospitality. We here with a legend.
Chuck Dizzle, DJ Head, of course, man, with a Grammy award-winning
one of the founders.
Multi-platinum producer, by the way. There's a lot of multis.
Writer, producer.
And responsible for a genre. Not too many producers can say that. You know, the pillar of trap music.
Oh yeah.
We got the one and only DJ Toomp.
DJ Toomp.
Yo, man, pleasure being here. How y'all doing, gents?
Man, thank you for being here. Yeah. I appreciate you.
Welcome to my beautiful city, man.
Hey, I love it. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Atlanta.
This has nothing to do with
this. Have nothing to do with music.
Come on, man. Let's cover it all if we need.
This ain't got shit to do with music, okay? I've never had bad food in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, it's hard.
It's really so hard to have bad food. I go to New York. I ain't never had good food in New York.
Wow.
Keeping it real.
Wow.
Just being her, my New York homies.
They gonna be on your ass.
They don't like that shit, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
In Georgia, I've been all up and down through the whole state. I've never had bad food, and it's so refreshing to be down.
And how long has that been since
I've been coming here?
Claim that. So let me tell you, the way that you've been feeling for all them years is that times 10 now, because for the past 2-3 years, it's been like a major rise of black restaurants.
Really?
So, man, it's about 20 different Sunday brunch, black-owned restaurants in Atlanta right now. Just came within the past 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in Atlanta, in Gwinnett, in the north side, south side, all over. And that's the new shit that's popping now, man. Can't nobody touch our cuisine.
Bro, I just wanted to get that off because
shout out to DJ Louis V. Took us
shout to Louis
a couple
V.
of spots, man.
Oh yeah,
a couple of spots,
man.
We was just like,
it's a gang of them, man.
Amazing, and this is only in a short period of time since we've been here. This is my second time here. He's been here multiple times, but just walked away with like, damn, this.
You'll mess around and gain some weight down here with them Sunday brunches,
my diet
man.
is fucked.
Yeah. That's what I can't do is I've been off fried food for a while now, and it's so hard to eat breakfast.
Ooh, how do you do that?
I mean, I violate every once in a while. I still violate though. But I just got to work that. Just got to make sure it don't get crazy.
Better balance.
I'm about to be 54. So, the older we get, we got to change that shit up.
So DJ Toomp, man, where does the story begin for you, man? Obviously, we've done our research. We know, you started in the '80s. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I want to know, like, prior to that, where does the story of DJ Toomp come as a producer, as a music head, all of that?
Okay, well, I'm gonna say really, growing up, in the house with both my parents. My mom, she's from Sparta, Georgia, so she always a little country girl who knew how to sing, and my dad could sing very well, and that's how her and my dad met. Like my dad used to be on the corner singing with, doing
the doo-wop.
Doo-wops on the corner. And while she'd go to school, and she was like, "Oh, that little short dude right there, he got sing his butt off." Like and then so she'd see him out there almost like every other morning. They'd be out there singing and whatnot. So, and then she ended up meeting Jackie Davis at the time, which is my aunt. And when she went to see her at the house, she was like, "Oh." She's like, "Yeah, this is my brother." It's like, her brother happened to be the little
guy
dude
that she
singing.
was looking at. Like, wow.
And they met, and boom, they made my sister first, then you got me.
So music was always in your household.
Music
was it ever pushed on you to actually do music, or was it just something you picked up?
It was just around me. It wasn't pushed, but once my dad saw that I was interested, because he was signed to Buddha Records. He was in a group called the MVPs.
Wow.
You remember Buddha Records?
I think
it's a little label with the Buddha on it. The Impressions, Curtis Mayfield, Gladys Knight on the Pips. Everybody was on Buddha Records. Wow. So if now that I mentioned it, you'll say, "Oh, I seen that little Buddha sitting on the record back in the '70s." So he was and they was signed through this baseball player. They was managed by a baseball player out of Oakland named Don Clendenin back in the days.
He was signed as a what?
My dad was an artist, lead singer. Lead singer there. My dad was rapping.
Hip hop 50 years old, man.
Yeah, that would have been the shit now if he could rap back then. But so he was the lead singer in the group. So from me being 3-4 years old, watching them rehearse and whatnot, they'll perform at churches, then they'll go do live performance. And I started really just watching them practice. I was like, oh shit, I learned about harmony and everything. So by the time I was 6 years old, I knew how to sing.
Yeah.
I knew about 3-4 part harmony and all that. But boy, all of a sudden that hip hop showed up, man, around like 78, 79.
So when hip hop hit, were you already playing or?
Nah, I was just dropping needles and just listening to records. But I was just in love. First of all, I was already in love with a lot of soul records, Tower Power, Earth, Wind and Fire.
I could hear that in your music.
Yeah. So I was influenced by a gang of those. So that's why, but even when I was looking at album covers back then, just trying to figure it out. Like, but I never knew I was gonna be DJing nor producing. So DJing is where it really started.
Yeah.
And what started the DJing is when I was going through the crates, just playing records, and sometimes I hear a certain part, I'll be like, man, what if that part can go a little bit longer? So I put a tape deck in and start messing with the pause button. Next thing you know, I started getting better and better at timing, like, okay, boom, boom, half a beat. So I understood counting beats back then, just even with doing pause mixes. And I find other records. Next thing you know, I started buying records from the record store because I was cutting hair. So this is like 7th, 8th grade.
Damn.
I started getting into pause mixing. And shoot, next thing you know, I'm making mixtapes, man, with one turntable and like tape deck.
Was mixtapes already a thing, or I'm talking about the South, like?
Well, the closest we would get to mixtapes is we'll record like a mix show, cause off the radio, and you might have it on tape. But then, you know, some people used to get New York tapes, you know, from up north. They'll make it down here. But so basically, the pause mix started from when you, let's say, if you wait for a certain song to come on the radio, you have your boombox on pause and record. Mm-hmm. So when that song come on, you wait till the DJ finish talking and be like, okay, boom, now I got it. Before you was able to actually go buy the record.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where I started having so many good songs on this one cassette. And I was like, you know, I was the only one really buying records, had a real record collection. I started just saving my money, going to the record store like every week. I buy something with Profile Records. I see Sugar Hill Records. I just go by the label or whatnot. So yeah, started doing these pause button tapes, man. And that's when I started understanding the whole count of music. You know, you got the intro and the structure of songs. And man, it started beating on the desk. That's where I knew I had crazy rhythm as far as making beats. I always wanted to be a drummer. Next thing you know, shit, man, I get in the studio, start playing with a little drum machine, hitting these pads, a DMX, Drumulator, all kind of little old stuff.
How were you getting access to those? Because we were talking
about
it a second ago.
Well, that was late on, and once people, my DJing is what really got me into the
When'd you start DJing?
82, 83.
Okay. So hip hop was already booming.
It was already hitting. Yeah. So I was mixing records back then.
Is hip hop the reason you started DJing?
Yeah, definitely.
Word.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Then so once hip hop was like it's in full swing.
Right.
You started DJing, and like how'd that come? Were you already known for doing all the parties?
Yeah, I started doing parties, mixtapes. So I was a crazy hustler, man. Parties, mixtape, selling candy, and cutting hair
at the same time.
All that shit.
I was going to ask you that because I heard you mention it about being a barber at.
Excuse me. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Gee. So where did that inclination come from? Like being a businessman and getting that money, being a hustler.
My dad was a hustler. You know what I mean? So I watched him and my uncles, man. They just do their thing. You know, they had stores, they had pool rooms, and you know, we had police came to the house looking for all kind of numbers at one point. I didn't understand what numbers were.
Right.
Your dad was running numbers?
He was running numbers and all that. Pop was running numbers.
What?
Any other hustle you could think of.
What's the wildest hustle that you can think back on that you were a part of? Like, damn, I can't believe I was doing that.
Me and my dad was moving it.
The numbers.
Yeah, we're moving it.
I don't want to give a magical, but I don't know. I know that they started doing lottery because people were running numbers.
Yeah.
What does running numbers look like though? I don't want to break out a criminal enterprise, but I'm saying, what does that look like for people who don't know what that is?
The number game, you know, it's an old school. If you watch certain old school movies, it's like sometimes it can come from the stock market. And it'd be a number that say, hey, 565 gonna drop. You know, you had grandmoms and everybody who was playing numbers or whatnot. And so you have the number man come around and get numbers from different people.
So you just pick a random any number, or you pick where does the number come from?
What's that?
Like when
I never really knew that game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. They came to my house looking for numbers. And later on, once I start understanding and seeing the number game, but yeah, a lot of people, I still don't understand that shit. Because I was wondering, like, I don't know if y'all ever saw that one movie where I think it was Malcolm X.
Yeah, he was running numbers.
And that really, because my parents they still didn't explain it to me. But when I saw that, I was like, I kind of get that now. Okay, he's telling you this number dropped or whatever, but I don't know where those numbers come from. It may be from the stock market or something. But like I say, from growing up with a hustler, you know, my pop and my mom always had a good, hard working woman. Pop, he was that guy who was out here really on that entrepreneurial stuff.
Got you. And then so you were doing the DJ thing, you rocking the parties and doing the mixtapes. When do you feel like you got your break as a DJ?
As a DJ?
As a DJ.
once I started having a rapper rapping while I was scratching, and that's this guy named Raheem the Dream.
Yeah, shout out to Raheem.
So yeah, I was he was like Raheem's 2 years older than me. So when I was in the 10th and he was a senior, that's when we put out our first record song called Raheem the Dream. And I did the beat on it. I did the artwork on the label and everything, man. Because I've been drawing and painting and shit.
When you say you made the beat, so where were you making beats on at that point?
Well, at that point, the first drum machine I touched was a Dr. Rhythm. Little joint, man. You could buy it from the store. We used to run it with our DJ routine. Me and this other crew, the ATL crew was named our DJ crew. And there was a part where we break down, we'd have a beat, just put a beat in the little Dr. Rhythm and start scratching with the beat. And the crowd used to just go crazy because they used to hear me scratch with records, but to hear a whole nother beat that's just been made on the spot and scratching along with it. So that's when I understood just beat programming alone. And shoot, man, by the time I got into, like I say, from playing around with that, when I got in the studio, once I stop playing, record, and I didn't even know how to MIDI back then. I just put 2 drum machines on the same BPM, but I knew what sound I wanted. So the Drumulator, which is made by MU created the SP1200, the E3 and all that, the Emulator 3. So before SP1200 or anything, it was a Drumulator. And who used that? They used that on Pee Wee Herman, Tears for Fears, Shout, the Boogie Boys. Y'all remember the Boogie Boys? Fly Girl?
Fly Girl, yeah.
Fly Girl. They used to drum that too. And then Drumulator and a DMX. And the DMX was used by some of everybody, especially R&B and rap. And some of the old school rap was done on DMX or either the Lin drum. And when I linked those two together, man, and Raheem put his rhymes to it, and next thing you know, man, we had a record on the radio covering the Southeast. Shit, you hearing it like 4 times a day.
Talk about that. The first time you hearing your song on the radio, man. What was that like?
Couldn't tell you.
It was like 5 heartbeats. Remember, everybody woke up like, "Oh shit,
right?
We on the radio." Yeah. So
is that your arrival moment? Like, man, we made it.
Honestly, that's one of the I made it moments. Going back to your question, is when I first heard the song on the radio as a producer and DJ, because I was actually scratching on the record too.
Yeah.
So I put all my skills on that joint, man.
Who taught you how to scratch? Did you just learn?
Man, believe it or not, well, first, what made me really want to get into it is when I just happened to be up late watching. I won't even say late. I was caught 60 Minutes, and they was talking about the movie Wild Style, and they showed Grandmaster Flash in the kitchen with his turntables on the countertop. And I was like, oh man, I'm on the pause button, but that looked like that's the real way to do this. Cause I saw him spinning stuff back and dropping the needle. I was like, oh. Yeah. And I was kind of dropping the needle at home, cause if I'm doing the pause button, I move the needle back. Like on Planet Rock, gotta rock it, don't stop. Now I put the needle, yeah, gotta rock it, don't stop. So I used to make it go, stop, 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 stop. And I turn the record level down to make it sound like it's echoing. Stop.
Get the fuck out of here.
You know?
Oh my God.
I tell you, so from getting that kind of innovation out of a tape deck, I knew once I got into a studio, it was there.
Yeah, you already had it.
Yeah, I knew I had it, man, straight up. You know, and it might sound crazy, I ain't arrogant or nothing. I just knew I had it.
Were your parents supportive?
Hell yeah. Yeah, my dad bought me a belt drive turntable and mom had me a direct. One was a Marantz and the other one was like a Techniques belt drive.
Were they ever like critical of hip hop? Because you see this from one generation to the next. It's like, oh,
but that ain't real music.
This is just loud boom bap. You know, they always have the critical of it. Were they critical of hip hop?
Want me to tell you what brought the critical part of it for real?
Messing up they probably their records.
A little bit of that, but my whole thing is we was looking at it like it was brand new. Folks been rapping since the 60s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some old stuff out there right now, some footage where you be like, oh shit, dude was really rapping then. Yeah. But my dad was like, oh man, rapping been around here. Y'all acting like that shit just came out. That was his thing. He wasn't really hating on it. He was just like, man, why y'all treating it like it's something new?
Right.
Like it's old. But I'm like, man, ain't no records like I got down here that's rapping like that. And he's like, no, those are older records. He's like, and honestly, come to find out when they was really rapping, they weren't really pressing them up on phonograph records. That was just stuff that people were doing live.
Oh wow.
Yeah, some dudes do. Yeah. But they were rapping though. It was like cooler rhymes. You know what I mean? More like bounce, jingle type rapping, but it was rapping. But and I would say, man, once I even just learned the words to Rapper's Delight, that's when I knew, like, man, this hip hop.
I think that's everybody's first clue.
Yeah,
when they heard that.
But then we had the underground radio stations, WIGO and WAOK. So on the AM stations, that's where you hear most of the stuff that hadn't really made it down here yet. So I was listening to some Treacherous 3, the Crash Crew, all that stuff. You know, everybody else was still on Sugar Hill Gang and Grandmaster Flash. But I was catching a lot of the underground stuff just by listening to AM radio late night or whatnot. FM wasn't really rocking like that.
Who was the early like from a South perspective, who were like the early people that was really making noise from a hip hop perspective?
Well, the first person, 81, 82, 82, 83, more 80, well, I would say 82 is a guy named Mojo. Mojo's still around here, man, still showing his face. He's the one who's the first Atlanta rapper, the first person to even put a record out.
First Atlanta rapper, Mojo.
First Atlanta record.
Was he embraced by the community, by the people?
Yeah.
Okay.
But at that time, it was, like I say, it was mostly AM radio.
Yeah.
And he had a song called Let Mojo Handle It. And then he had another song called Jump, Stump, and Twist. Well, Stump and Twist, they had Jump, Stump, and Twist. And so it's like, by the time FM started really popping and started playing like, you know, rap music, he was one of the first. But it still took a while just for the people to just truly embrace him. But yeah, Mojo, I got to give him his props.
Do you remember when rap first hit the radio in Atlanta? Because I remember them telling the stories about when Hot 97 first started in New York, but I never heard from a Atlanta perspective.
So LA, we 1580 K-Day,
yeah.
right? So we know about
K-Day.
that story. We know about you know, the Hot 97s, but from an Atlanta perspective, like what were you guys listening to?
Well, we still have V103, and they used to have certain
time blocks.
Yeah, like a block, like, hey, we're gonna have a rap show.
Yeah,
you know, we're gonna for
2
these
a.m.
few hours.
Right.
Yeah, y'all better tune in for these few hours. Now we're gonna play y'all little rap shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then we're gonna get back to this real straight R&B, R&B. You know how they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So V103, they were playing it, but then they used to have this guy named Daryl Fears and DJ Flash, and they used to have like this little rap thing, like you say, for about 2 hours. But then Kiss 104 came into play. And they started having this rap show on the weekend, man. They was playing all kind of underground stuff, and they really started taking over as far as like really supporting rap, because when me and Raheem put our stuff out, Kiss 104 played it before V103. V103 caught on later on, but 104 was where you would really hear our music playing like 5-6 times a day.
I want to talk about your introduction to like full-on studio producing, right?
Okay.
You already could play, you could DJ.
Mm-hmm.
You were already producing records since you was in high school, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I want to go to that transition where you figured out, I'm gonna do this full time. Have you ever had a regular job, 9 to 5?
I tried it.
He was always a hustler. He was always a hustler.
I tried it.
You've never had a regular job.
Only time, man, I got a regular job, and it didn't last. And that was still through a temporary service. I went to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, man. It was on Fulton Industrial. And I went down the street, man, and so it was like the first day I went, we were just stacking, you know, the regular weekly paper. And another time I went, we had to stack the Sunday paper. So the Sunday papers usually be about that thick with all kind of coupons in it. Man, and you see little skinny women in the warehouse just grabbing these stacks and boom, lining them up perfect. I'm talking about like books, man, but mine was kind of wobbly. And so the supervisor came, you know, standing behind me, breathing hard. Mr. Davis, we got to do better. I said, man, there's a lot of stuff in this paper, man. I was like, man, once they were just breathing down my neck, that whole feeling, I was like,
never again.
This is not me, bro.
Yeah.
Shit, man, when it was time for lunch, I caught the bus and went home. I never came back, man.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That was the same day?
Yeah, the second day, yeah.
Second day,
yeah.
So you've worked 2 days?
2 days in my life, yes.
You know what?
And everything else has been like self-employed ever since then, bro.
I gotta salute you for knowing in that moment, like, yo, this is not for me. You know what I mean? Because some people will try to just work it out and lie to themselves, but knowing that, like, okay, nah, I know. Yeah. So when you walked away from that, the music thing, it was like, man, I know this is the thing I want to do.
Because I knew if I really applied myself, even just DJing alone, I could, you know, because I was still, you know, my name was still out there. Mm-hmm. And I just had to really push myself out there, just get more DJ gigs and just start spreading myself more than just the Atlanta region. Yeah. And that's when I started DJing at different like high schools. Cause first it was just the Atlanta public schools. Then I started hitting schools in the College Park, on the east side, you know what I mean? I knew, cause you know, it was like a neighborhood thing. Yeah. So Kind of like around y'all way, you know, you got to know somebody on the east side, because, you know, if you
don't
gather around your turntables and try it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
How much do you remember getting paid to DJ back then?
Oh, well, at first, I'm going to tell you, I was getting like $50 a night at first, like little house parties and whatnot. But then once I got my song on the radio, I was getting like $150.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm hitting for
this 150.
Three times.
150, yeah, man. You know what I mean? Start saving more money, getting more records. Then we start getting some little speakers and whatnot. So yeah, by 10th grade, man, I was a beast on that DJ.
Where did you get the name DJ Toomp?
Man, Toomp was a nickname. It's a nickname that my sister gave me when I was a kid, bro. It was Toompy at first.
Toompy?
What?
Yeah,
what is that?
I don't know what she thought about. She's 5 years older than me, so I don't know what was on her
You ain't
mind.
never asked her?
No, she was just, it's my little Toopy. I was like, what?
Oh, it's a little pet name for
Your
you.
government day has nothing to do with, like, I thought it was like maybe
I'm Aldrin Davis.
Yeah.
So, and as I got older, I took the Y off. I was like, you know what? I went through all kind of damn DJ names. I called myself Special T, DJ Cutmaster T, and I started putting those names on flyers, and nobody showed up at the parties. And it just took one person to say, man, you need to just go by DJ Toomp. And next thing you know, when the flyers came out, they were like, who the hell is DJ Special T? I'm like, damn, ain't nobody showing up. When I put Toomp on the flyers, that's when everybody started showing up. Like, oh shit, that's Toomp.
Isn't that crazy how something that was given to you, you kind of run away from it, and then he's like, man, once I take this on, people embracing me as
my entertainment name.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's where DJ Head come from. They just made fun of me.
Yeah, so there it is. Yeah. You talk about my head, so I almost could have had a DJ Head name too. But yeah, man, that's where it come from, man. That's a nickname my sister gave me. I still give her props to this day.
Well, now one other thing before we kind of move on, because I know I want to hear about some of these tour stories, because I know you toured with N.W.A, Ice-T,
Two Live
Crew, Poison Clan, Goody Mob.
And we gonna put a pin in that. Yeah. I got a question about that. But just one last thing about the region, right? Being from Atlanta, when you're seeing hip hop evolve, again, we kind of know the story on the West Coast in terms of like what we perceived as what was going on, right? On the East and as hip hop started. Did you guys look at it in terms of like, man, we have to make a name for our region as well? Or is it just like, man, we just want to embrace hip hop?
You know what? Yeah, at the beginning, we just wanted to embrace it.
Okay.
And I would say around, even in the 80s, late 80s, it still wasn't a thing of trying to push our region. We were just really just trying to get in the game for real.
Got it.
But believe it or not, we realized that we had a sound, which was, because, you know, at first, when you think of the South, you know, I think more like on the West Coast, y'all caught on to the Shadies and the Two Live Crews and whatnot. And then that's when I found out, whoa, everybody's up tempo, because you got Pretty Tony, then you got Egyptian Lover. They was running neck and neck in the 80s, you know what I mean? And so Pretty Tony, that's Miami. Fix It in the Mix, Debbie Delby, he just back to back up tempo records around like 125 BPM. But then you had, like I say, Egyptian Lover. And y'all had Macola Records as y'all distributor. Like everybody was distributed in the West Coast by Macola Records, from Ice-T to King T, everybody. Egyptian Lover. But then down here, it was a lot of independent labels, like in Florida. You had Suntown Records, then you had Luke Skywalker Records, and Base Station Records, you know, because it was a lot of big time, you know, hustlers down there just starting labels or whatnot. So, and it was like, almost the same thing that was going on around y'all way was happening down our way. But in the South, like I say, it was more the booty shaking. Florida had caught on to as far as having a stamp of an identity as far as Southern music, because everybody was like, oh, you know, that's that up-tempo shit, you know. And then they started calling it booty shake. Then they started calling it bass music. Well, it was bass music, then it was booty. Then as it got faster, because at first the BPM was like 128, like I say, 128.7 to maybe 130. But then they started getting faster, like boom, boom. That's like 140 BPM. It started turning booty shake. The strippers started working to that. And that's
create that lifestyle,
open up that lifestyle. But you still had the cats on the southeastern region, which is the Tennessee 3-6 Mafia. They had 808s in theirs, but it was more slower, like a crunk type thing, because, you know, there was a lot of gang activity in Tennessee, so they used to have a gangster walk.
Yeah.
So everybody, and later on, as we got older, we started seeing like, okay, the South do have a sound, but everybody was on the 808. You know what I mean? New York cats, West Coast, Texas. So one thing everybody had was the 808 drum machine, and that's what we all had in common as a whole, just as a whole country. But we use it in a different way. Everybody freaked it a certain way. Egyptian Lovers still could play some 808 beats that program an 808 like no one else. You know what I mean? The actual 808, you know, the drum machine, not, you know, then later on we start sampling the sounds from it, putting it into the SB1200. But as far as programming that 808, I know Egyptian Lover, Pretty Tony, and my man David Hobbs, Mr. Mix, who's from California. You know what I mean? That's who really taught us all about the drum machine. So the South, I would say, it's not nothing that we really stuck our head out to say, hey, we're gonna put ourselves on the map. It was organic. It was pretty organic, you know, as far as you being able to identify a Southern record, West Coast record, you know what I mean? Even Texas, you start hearing their style. You know, it was a lot slower, you know what I mean? And like I say, 3 6 Mafia was slower, but Georgia and Florida, we was crazy up tempo.
Wow, bro.
I want to come back to the BPM conversation because I'm always having those conversations. I'm in the studio a lot with artists, but and somebody called me. Shout out to my boy Gabe from I think he's from Baltimore. He called me a BPM god or something. He called me. I don't remember what he called me, but it was dope. But speaking of the Florida movement, right? And then we also talk about you going on tour with 2 Live Crew and all these people. Freaknik. Freaknik is now like the documentary. Shout out to JD.
Yeah.
But
and Luke. Yeah.
And Uncle Luke and man, that whole movement. I always thought Freaknik. To be honest with you, growing up, I never knew it was a real thing. It was like mythical folklore, like that you. It was like one of them things, kind of like when Suge Knight hung Vanilla Ice over the balcony.
One of those. But
there's no camera phones to prove it.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Freaknik was real. There's a whole doc coming about it, but from your perspective, I definitely want to hear a story, but 2, being on tour with them, with those individuals,
right,
has to be some of the most legendary shit you could probably ever imagine.
Man, I'm glad you get it.
Okay, because I've heard the stories.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I've heard the stories,
Some
but like I said, there was no camera phones.
Yeah.
So like, I mean.
So I can tell you this. I don't know if most people don't remember, but I think I tried to Google it and it's nowhere to be found now because in Japan a while back, I don't know if y'all remember when Luke got head on stage.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, a lot of people don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember
actually made headline. That made news. That made world news.
Yeah, I remember that. God. Yep.
And when that lady got off stage, they put hands on her.
Who did?
Just the people in Japan. They was like, yo, you really belittled us. You made us look bad.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, she got jumped on. Yeah, they mobbed her.
Damn.
Real bad. Yeah, she got on stage and entertained Luke in front of everybody on stage. So.
Did he finish?
No. It was just a thing.
That's a man question.
Did he bust?
That was a man question. You know what I'm saying?
Did he bust?
I just, you know.
Oh shit!
Why would you start a job you don't complete?
But see, one thing about that whole that tour life, man, and man, it's like things that I don't know if it's the same now. I mean, now you know, man, I'm in my 50s. It's hard to get me on anybody's tour right now. But the women were so cooperative, man. You know, they just excited to really be close to somebody who they've seen on MTV or BET, and now, you know, you got a superstar, might be sitting right next to you at a game. It ain't nothing. Shit, man, that's such and such. But back in those 80s, the first person where I really saw with a gang of groupies following them was LL Cool J.
Word.
And it was after one of the concerts, man, at the Omni Hotel. There was about like 8 bad bros following him. I'm like, man, what are they about to do? And my boy was
they going?
They went in the room. And we was like, yo, what's up, L? He was like, yo, what's up, man? Y'all good? He went on, he had the red Kango, went upstairs, took the women with him. I said,
so he went in the room with 8.
Yeah, he had a few of them following him.
It
might have been 8. It might have been for him and Bobcat and the rest of them. But
it was 8.
It was at least 8 of them.
They need love.
Yeah.
You know
what?
Oh man, shout out to Bobcat too.
For sure.
That's my guy. That's one of my influences too, for sure. Bobby Irvin.
So when you being that tour life, I know I got to be insane. But do you remember anything that specifically you were there for that may or may not have impacted you? You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, I remember we performed at the Apollo in New York. That's when I was DJing for Luke.
Okay.
When he had I Wanna Rock Out.
Yeah.
And it was a girl who he used to keep on tour with him, man, and she'd just get a random person out the audience and just give him head right on stage.
So she would bring him on stage?
Yeah, she was a pro with it. She knew how to put the condom in her mouth and everything, and, whoop, and just go to work right there.
On stage? That was part of the show?
Everybody who was hot, yes. Let's say it was around 93. So any artist in New York that was hot around 93 was standing backstage looking. Latifah, everybody was like, that's crazy. We rock New York crazy. And I'm on the turntable looking at them like, yep, that's how it go down.
So look, he gonna be in the documentary as a DJ though.
That's how it go down. Yeah, ain't no telling. You might see some of that.
A lot of people.
Cause I was DJing for a lot of different folks, man. I was on tour with everybody. But them loop tours, man, it's like I say, man, it was just days of after the show. The hotel lobby just be full of women, man. All
What
varieties.
Was the Freaknik though? Was
Freaknik?
No, I'm saying I was like, okay, I'm gonna give you my perception as a millennial, right?
Okay.
So the Freaknik to me, we have these things that we do called traveling parties.
Okay.
So you got like track karaoke, like shout to Mouse Jones and that whole team, or you got like Grits and Biscuits, or you got these parties, Duce Palooza, like different parties, and they're like, they go to different states, and it's a party, but they go to different states and cities, and they do their version of whatever their party is.
Okay.
They're like traveling parties. So like the day parties you were talking about, the brunches and whatnot.
Well, see, I got you. And it wasn't like that. But I would say what I would compare Freaknik to is, you know how people, Memorial Day, they used to go to Miami on the beach?
Yeah.
And then Virginia Beach, spring break was, even Daytona was real hot at one point. And then I think Myrtle Beach. Then people started hitting Virginia Beach. That was like in the late 80s, early 90s. It was big time hustle. That was they moving dope from Miami to VA back then. So all that traffic, you had party traffic, but then you had plays going down too. So VA was the place. But so from having all these spring breaks and all in these different places based around water, that's one thing that we don't have here is a beach.
Yeah.
If we did, ain't no telling where the hell we be.
Savannah. Yeah,
but Savannah it wasn't Atlanta. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, Savannah is still respected for the ports more than anything right now. So I would compare Freaknik to those holidays, to those spring breaks. But that was our version of it. But, you know, of course, it's backed up traffic amongst all those type of events. But ours was just about, hey, man, just pulling up at either John A. White Park, you know, which is a park off Cascade where everybody used to go to, but as it started growing and people started coming from all over, you know, we went from seeing Florida tags mostly, of course, Mississippi, and folks came from the Carolinas, but as it got bigger, by the time we got to 94, 95, you start seeing Michigan tags. That's when Meech and them started coming down through here. You start seeing players from Minnesota. You just start seeing different tags, letting you know that, man, it's folks from all over the country coming down here for this event. Because, you know, Atlanta, home of some of the best strip clubs, and then just the whole Southern hospitality. It wasn't no gang activity or nothing. Everybody knew they were safe. They could come down here and really kick it. It was a real safe haven and just fun, man. And there's a lot of people who really didn't know what Atlanta was about. You had a few New York folk, New York people was here too.
Right.
So you got a lot of people from different regions who might have thought Atlanta was like on some old in the heat of night type shit.
Country.
Just a country and like, nah, you know, and shout out to all the country boys too. You know, I'm a country boy to a degree.
There's more than that.
But yeah, it was like, we had more to offer. So and once they start seeing that, man, it just took for one person to come 1 year, and as long as it was happening, it was just going to eventually grow. So 94, 95 was the biggest years of Freaknik. And that's when Piedmont Park, which is one of the biggest parks in Atlanta, in Georgia right now, in Atlanta. And man, I would say 94, it was 94, 95. Anybody you could think of that was hot had touched that stage at Piedmont Park. It was Biggie.
Really?
Lil' Kim, everybody, all the rappers from all over just got on that stage just to perform because the system was incredible. The park was so packed, man, you couldn't even see the grass from an aerial view, man. It was crazy.
It was like a festival before festivals.
Big fest, a huge fest. And not just even in that part, just the whole city was full. So whatever street that was congested, women, and if you see that the traffic is not moving, boom, and you playing your favorite song or whatever, let's say you pull up with a sound system and the traffic is just gridlocked. The women just jump out and start twerking.
Wow.
Crazy.
And that's when it turned into that. Everybody was like, how they just go get out in the middle of the street? No, the cars wasn't moving. So what to do. Let's just make a party right here in the street. So that was happening in downtown. It was happening on Campbellton Road, on Georgia 400.
That's crazy.
Yes, Georgia 400 actually had gridlock because everybody was trying to get to Lenox Mall.
Sheesh.
And they closed the exits up. And matter of fact, we had a toll booth back then too. So they routed everybody to the toll booth. Atlanta might have made so much money because they blocked the Lenox Mall exits off to where you had to go through the toll.
Taxi.
But so just think the expressways were even packed to where women could just get out and jump on the hood of their cars and just go crazy and do whatever.
Did you ever
kept their clothes on and some pulled their panties to the side and just gave you a whole show. You know?
Wow. Okay.
And they figured, guess what? And they figured like, hey, I'm not from here.
Right.
I don't know anybody up here.
You again.
Boy, you had a few cats with these
cameras, right? 20 years later.
And that's what they're afraid of right now.
Right.
Those are grandmoms out here, who was showing their, their private
we were
part.
just talking about that. Imagine like somebody's grandmother right now.
Yeah.
Like, documentary.
Yeah, that's you, Nana.
I saw you on stage in Japan.
You got that same shirt right now. You know what I mean?
Since we're talking about early memories, touring and things of that nature, man, what was your first memory of like N.W.A. and Ice-T, man? So obviously us being from LA, coming out here to the West Coast, or just touring with them in general. Like, we obviously know the groups that they are today, but back then when you're running into them for the first time, do you have any early memories of?
Yeah, I met, that's when N.W.A., the whole group was together. It was Dre, Yella, Eazy, Ren, the whole squad, man, and ran into them on a few occasions, man. But I remember in Nashville, Tennessee, man, that boy Eazy had like 10 women waiting outside his hotel door, bro.
Really?
And all of them wanted a shot at Eazy, man. And I'm talking about they wouldn't even get in line. They weren't checking for me. They weren't checking for Shy D. Flavor Flav was even trying to get with it.
Nothing.
Yeah, chucking them in the S1W, they would never mess with it.
Right,
but Flav used to come out and kick it with us. Like, hey, man, we finna get some of these bras.
Yeah,
Flav was with the shit.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even get the girls out of line. Everybody wanted they turn with Eazy, man. And Eazy come out up to the door in a robe or whatnot. Next.
That is cool.
Next?
Yeah, next.
He would say next.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Oh, shout out to Compton.
Shout out to Compton. Man. I was like, yo. Okay. And then when I was like, yo, we used to get our little share of groupies, but boy, these Cali niggas on some other shit.
Let me ask you this then. So when you see something like Eazy and obviously Luke, if you had to compare the situations you see from one to the next, could you say one outranked the other one? It was kind of like just the same.
That's crazy. Both of them CEOs too. Yep. And they was out on the road with the artists. That's old school for real.
Yeah.
The CEOs touring with the artists. I miss them days. I only caught Eazy on that one incident, but Luke was kind of like a black Hugh Hefner for a minute, man. Like he could just raise a finger, man. They'll do whatever. Right. It was like, he was like also lightweight Godfather Hugh Hefner shit.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, he wasn't married. He was a real single player that game.
That's crazy. You got stories for days. I want to jump into some of the production. You are credited on the internet. I don't know if you know this or not. You probably do. You're credited as one of the founding fathers of trap music.
Yes, sir.
Do you own that? Do you own that proudly? Do you embrace that?
I get it now. I embrace it. At one point, I was like, for real, y'all think so? But then after I did the research, I was like, let me wear that jacket, man. Let me wear it well.
And I definitely agree. Because that wasn't even a thing when I was growing up. It didn't exist.
Right.
And now it exists. It's a whole genre.
It's a whole $1
billion everything. My first question about it, I want to get to the T.I. shit and all that, but my first question about who came up with the name trap music?
Well, the trap is, just known for just any spot, a location where some hustling going on. You know what I mean? When we did on the first album that was released on Arista, the I'm Serious album. The first single was I'm Serious, produced by Pharrell, Neptunes. Had Beanie Man. But the biggest record off the album was a song called Dope Boys in the Trap. I produced that one. And crack a key across my knee, do it 50 more times. 30 go for 9.5, go for 9. So he's just talking about trapping and being a dope boys in the trap. And from that song being like the biggest song off the album and just covering the whole southern region, like everybody wanted to hear Tip perform Dope Boys in the Trap. And by the time we left left Arista and got with Atlantic, it was time for a new album. And since Dope Boys in the Trap ended up being the biggest thing, and we started doing like these mixtapes called In the Street. So once we saw the formula of what the public really was embracing and the style that they was like really loving from us, we stuck to that. And next thing you know, Tip was like, man, we gonna call this shit trap music.
So Tip came up with it.
As far as the song, the album title, yeah, trap music.
Damn.
Yeah, that came from Clifford Harris, brother.
Then when he came up with it, did it make sense to you at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it made sense because we noticed that, damn, it is a sound that we have that everybody wants. You know, people wanted him on their records, and they used to want my production at the same time, you know, or either my production or they wanted our flavor, our cuisine, you know, what we was bringing. And shoot, man, I just embraced it, you know, put the horns in and just a lot of live instruments and, you know, bass lines, organs.
Synth heavy.
And just start, throwing the drums in and just rapping about trap shit, about getting money and hustling, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just, trap music.
When you guys were putting together the trap music album, because I feel like that one, that obviously, I mean, I'm serious. We all know that didn't work out with Arista, and like we have heard that story. Yeah.
It's still some people's favorite. That's what's funny too.
It is?
Yeah. Some people love I'm serious.
No,
yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah.
So I'm just being honest. I'm from LA.
But one of their favorites. I won't say the favorite out of Tip.
But what I'm saying is, when trap music came out, I remember hearing it for the first time when it came out, and I didn't know who Tip was like that. Like, I mean, we in LA. Like, it gotta travel. This is before streaming services.
Yeah, it take a minute.
YouTube, this is hard copies, right? Yeah. CDs. So when trap music finally hit LA, it was kind of like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
I love it.
Was that the reaction that you guys were getting initially when it first came out?
Because you got to think, because straight up, even when Dope Boys in the Trap had popped off on the first album, L.A. Reid didn't know what the hell we were talking about. He was like, y'all want to do a video? He didn't want to do a video to it because he didn't understand what Dope Boys in the Trap was. Wow. So yeah, even he didn't get it. Just think, actual CEO didn't even understand this shit. You know, like, and why is this song so hot? After he heard it, he was just like, oh, okay. You know, LA, you know, he's mostly an R&B cat. Yeah. So, in the southern region, it wasn't really too much of people scratching their head. It was like, oh, we get it.
Right.
Because, you know, it was like
the lifestyle.
Yeah, it was a lifestyle. But
going up, I can imagine going up north and Midwest.
It took a minute for them to catch, but when it caught,
It caught, bro.
Yeah. And people started really hearing dude rap skills, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, he ain't just really no bouncing ball rapper word for word. This man really know how to
go toe-to-toe with the greats.
Go toe-to-toe and rap patterns and everything. His flow was impeccable. That's what really made me embrace him and take him under my wing is when I heard him rapping, because I was trying to work with like 3 or 4 artists at that time.
Got you.
He just wiped everybody out.
What made you draw outside of the rap skills? Because it takes, to me, I would take work ethic over skills any day, because you could coach.
Yeah.
But what was the initial thing that drew you to Tip?
Like you say, the work ethic, his skills, and the fact that when we started hanging out, this man, I used to pull a few bras, you know, when I get out, man, this man will have a pocket full of numbers. Like, so he was like, almost 10 years younger than me, but spitting some game, like had some real slick shit to tell the women, man. Yeah. And then, you know, so I was like, okay, you know what, man, this dude just moved the room when he come in. There's something about him that, I knew he had the star quality then. I'm like, man, this right along with his talents, like this is a superstar right here. Like, I know he can make it. And he can just adapt to any type of environment, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are those things that you're looking in at that time, right? We're talking about Tip, we're seeing like early superstars in terms of developing talent. Like, what do you feel like that is your contributing sauce? What's that thing that you do when it comes to developing talent that people need to know?
Beautiful question. Well, one thing I'll say, he already knew about the whole, you know, all right, this is my first line. All right, punch me in right here. Mm-hmm. First time I heard, I was like, oh shit.
He knew the terminology.
Dude, wicked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No pen, no paper, just go in there rapping straight up. Wow. You know? Yeah, I've never seen him write anything down his whole career.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Him, Jay, and I think Killer Mike, only a few. It's only a few of them out here who could really do that. Walk in the booth, no pen and paper. I'm talking about spit, get down.
And then when they spit they verse, do feels, ad libs, and
all that.
That's crazy.
Hey, his ad lib was stupid.
Crazy,
like
yeah.
what you know.
Yeah.
So that, like I say, his work ethic and the fact that he get it. But one thing I can say, me and Jason, first when I had him, before we brought Jason into the table, I was like, all right, listen, man, we're gonna have to keep you out of trouble. I used to be giving them game like, listen, man, I know you want to hustle, but you can't do it like that. You can't be standing out here no more. You about to be popular, and people gonna be able to identify you right now. Somewhere you're gonna have to stop that. You know, I had to stop it too after the degree. Once I saw a check that was more than what I had in my safe, I was like, all right, I'm good.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm good. Like, let me, I pass
I think that's
on.
important too, because I think that right there, you know, that can fuck up so much. You can have the talent, you can have all this right there, but if you're not willing to make that mindset adjustment to say, you know what, let me put the bullshit to the side.
Yeah,
you know
man.
And but the crazy part about it is that this is what you're rapping about. This is your lifestyle that you're talking about. So in one instance, you want to keep one foot in because you have to have the material to talk about that. You know what I mean? But so for you to have the knowledge and the insight to be like, look, stay away from that.
And everybody needs that, man. But if you're in a high level of things, whether you're an artist, shit, like Javante Davis, you know, you got the OGs, which is his trainers, but you know, I guess some of them keeping him in line. Ain't no telling how much more trouble that boy be done got into right now.
Did you have somebody that was like that for you?
I had a few. You know, I had my uncles. I was always hanging around cats like 5, 6 years older than me anyway. So I learned a lot at an early age, bro. A whole lot to where I'm not gonna say I was perfect, but I was already guided to where I could. If I got any type of game, it was because I went to get it. Nobody really didn't have to just say, hey man, hey youngin', don't do that. Kind of on some hustle shit, I used to, tell me, hey man, nah, that ain't the right way to do that. Do that, a different way. But even in the music business, though, it got to the point where, my man Magic Mike, you ever heard DJ Magic Mike out of Orlando?
Yep.
Cheetah Records, him and this guy named Tom Wright had their own record label selling millions of records, independent back then. So they were really one of the first people out of Florida to really see a bag for real, independent. Luke and them saw a bag, but Magic Mike, do your research on him and the sales that they were making. So Magic Mike is the first one who really pulled me to the side and said, Toomp, handle your business, because you got to think, I've been producing since 85. I didn't see a royalty check till 97.
Damn.
All I was getting was fees and just upfront money. I didn't really understand the whole points and royalties and whatnot. And Mike was like, man, listen, these 2 books you need to get, man, I read the right chapters. Of course, I didn't read the whole book. I just got to the chapters based around what I wanted.
Give me the cliff notes. I need that.
Yeah, I got to those particular chapters. And man, believe it or not, bro, there's no looking back since then. I finally got my first royalty check from Dr. Doolittle soundtrack.
Get out of here.
But if I wouldn't have talked to Magic Mike, there ain't no telling when I would have finally understood the whole royalty game, man, because I was just so happy with getting that upfront money.
Gotcha.
$1,500 when I was younger, but then later on I was getting $2,500 a track.
So, when was that first red flag for you to say, like, okay, I got to get my business right?
Man, New Jack City soundtrack.
Say it again?
New Jack City soundtrack.
Okay,
I produced a song on there called Dick in the Dirt. 2 Live Crew. When they was riding in the Jeep.
Yeah.
And when G Money was like, hey man, that's like the most popular part of the movie.
Yeah.
That was my music. That's my music playing in the background when he's in the Jeep. Like, man, this shit make bitches suck your dick. Yeah, that's my track, Dick in the Dirt, playing in the background. I did that on the SP1200. I sampled the Neville Brothers. Yep. Do 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 do. But bro, that soundtrack sold like what, 4 or 5 million? From Color Me Bad was the leading single off that. But I Wanna Sex You Up. You remember that?
Hell yeah.
And bro, I didn't see anything off that shit. And once Magic Mike asked me, like, man, I know you saw something off that New Jack City. I'm like, what do I be seeing? I got my 1,500. He was like, you don't get no royalties? I'm like, nah, man. And I was like, oh my God, I've been fucked.
You made $1,500 off that?
Yeah.
All in?
Producer fee. Yeah, just a...
Damn.
And signing papers, not knowing that that's a work for hire, so I don't have no signing off everything, but yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's when I had to lock in on my business, bro, and never look back since.
I want to put a button on the trap music thing. T.I., King of the South, who, when he called himself the King of the South, was it unanimously embraced?
No.
Okay.
First when he said it, we were looking at him like, man.
Hold on, champ.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, there you go. Like, come on, man. I love you. You definitely one of the best around here. But the king, he said, hell yeah, y'all. And very confident, chest out and everything. He felt, I was like, you know what? He said, man, anybody got a problem with it, man? Shit, we can see if they can outbust me. And the first person that tried him was this guy who was used to be with DTP named I-20.
Yep, I know I-20.
And I-20 was calling himself like the king of the South or something around that time. Yeah. Because I think one thing with Tip, I think Mystical was the prince of the South. And Tip was like, damn, whoever just called themselves the king, you know? UGK underground kings, but I'm gonna call myself king of the South. And he knew he was stepping out. He knew what type of attention
you know what that
he was going to get. But at the same time,
he was
straight
ready.
up, man. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, man, who wanna step to the throne? Let's go. And I-20, man, they battled right on the radio, man, and Tip drugged him. Damn. Yeah, and dude never had a career since.
If T.I.
Shout out to I-20. I ain't gonna say he have a career since, but it definitely knocked him back. He shouldn't have took that battle.
He shouldn't have took that one.
He shouldn't have took that one.
If Tip is the king of the South, who's the queen?
The queen of the South?
If you had to pick one.
Oh man, that's a hell of a question. Queen of the South. Hot damn. The only active person you may could get that to is Trina.
Okay.
When you speak of South,
yeah.
or if you're talking about just Atlanta, but just the Southern region, yeah, it's sad to say you can only just get at the Trina as far as, you know, longevity or whatnot. Can't really name a whole gang of records, but that's the only person I can really come up with. Yeah.
I want to talk about real quick, because I want to keep you too long, but I want to get into.
Take your time, brother. We good.
Jeezy. When Jeezy hit the West Coast, that was like, man, like, who is this nigga? Right? Boys in the Hood and all that. And one of my friends, shout out to Tiff, she was in love with Jody Breeze for whatever reason. She's in love with Jody Breeze. Like,
yeah. Jody was a player too.
The girls love Jody Breeze.
Yeah, a player.
But Jeezy, one of my favorite records ever it was a single, is I Love It, which people never respect the singles, but they be like, oh, you don't like track 8 on the. I'm like, bro, it's one of my favorite Jeezy records ever.
Nice. Thank you, man.
But when Jeezy came out, I felt like that was like when 50 Cent came out in New York. The energy around Jeezy.
I would give him that.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna talk to John about that too, but I felt like it was like everybody was like, this is our guy.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the case?
I would say that because, and I would agree with that because, see, Jeezy had been an independent artist even before Tip got on. He was doing his own thing. Yeah. He had his own label. He put out an album, Come Shop With Me. It was the soft and the hard, you know what I mean? Just like, you know, shopping with the dope or whatnot. You got the hard side and the soft side. But Jeezy, even if you listen to that album, he was still trying to find his style back then.
Figure it out.
Yeah, he was trying to figure it out. You know, he knew he wanted to do this shit, but he was still trying to figure it out. Because if you listen to it, you could tell he was influenced by Trick Daddy out of Miami. Trick Daddy Dollar, shout out.
Yep.
And but then Jeezy eventually, I think when he got with Shawty Red, Shawty helped him really find that whole swag as far as the way to just glide over the beat. You know, Shawty Red, that's one of the first young producers around here getting that bag too, you know. At an early stage, he had an artist named Drummer. But Jeezy, and then, you know, and Jeezy was already, you know, he was getting down.
Yeah.
And so when you see him, you know, he was like, oh shit, he got the 4 diamond tennis necklaces on, and pulling up in, you know, the convertible 6 Series Beamer, breaking the lines, paying folks out the club, you know, $200 to break the line, and was hanging with Meech and them. So it was that whole ambience that came with that too, you know, standing on the couch sounding like New Money. It was like, oh shit, that's Jeezy. You know, he's an artist, he got some stuff coming out. And so, yeah, you know, he was out of Hawkinsville, you know, close to Macon. So a few people knew that he was from Hawkinsville. A lot of people didn't know, a few people didn't know where he was from, but he was a Georgia boy. So, and his cousins was up here, this guy named Dave and JoJo. And JoJo, old school hustler, man, riding around in Ferraris like in '86. Before any, you know, only entertainers and athletes was riding in Ferraris in '86. So JoJo was like one of them guys.
I wanted to ask you about the because you brought up Meech, and we all watching the BMF show. Okay, when BMF hit Atlanta,
right?
What was that like?
what's funny, when BMF, it wasn't even BMF first, because first, I don't want to take it too long. I would say around 91. Yeah, around 90, I'll say like 90, between 91 and 94, you start seeing the Detroit tags come down here a lot. You know, the blue tags and whatnot. And when Meech first started really hitting Atlanta, it was him and a lot of other grown, it was like some older cats with him. And it was Club 112. And so in Club 112, you would have a section where you have the Atlanta dudes, you know, from the west side. You had the New York crew over here. You might have some Milwaukee, because a lot of Milwaukee players came down here too. Atlanta always been the hub, keeping it 100. You know what I mean? And then Detroit cats will be over there. You'll see Meech, and all of them used to be dressed in black, you know, and just in their little part, used to have a little section of the club, just popping bottles, you know, on some real player stuff. So we knew Meech from that, you know what I mean? But then later on, I think that's when he met the guys from Cali, and Blue and them, that's when they talked him into like, hey man, let's start an entertainment company and put some artists out here. You're making a lot of money, dog. You know, go and invest in us.
Right.
And that's when the BMF started. But
So
when Meech first started coming, he was just a Detroit player. It wasn't even no BMF attached to it.
But then when they started getting into the music, I felt like it was
oh man, it was awesome. First of all, the attraction, what made people so interested in that is the word got out, like, hey man, there's some dudes who coming through Magic City spending like no less than $100, maybe $50,000-$70,000 a night.
You saw them do that?
Yeah, on several occasions. Man, them boys, that was the real make it rain. Enough money to kick around like leaves, bro.
So they were spending,
Them boys was throwing no less than 75 to 100,000 every Monday night. Really, almost every club they went to, because they used to just, Monday was the Magic City, but then they used to go like to pinups and all the different clubs. And when you see all them Ferraris out there, you just know them boys spending no less than 75K in every club they hit. And they used to hit more than one per night sometimes.
That's crazy.
So, I want to talk about hit records, because I mean, you got multiple under your belt, but a lot of people say, I heard a lot of producers and a lot of artists say that, damn, I didn't even know it was going to be that shit when we first recorded it. Yeah. So I'm going to name off some tracks. You tell me what the mindset was when you guys first started it, and when it actually blew up, and did it match the energy when you guys were first in the studio? What you know about that?
So, what you know, I'm going to tell you, just that instrumental alone made people's eyebrows go up like, damn, dog, what's that?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Some chord progressions, you know, from that Roberta Flack, they're going away. And that's something I was loving that song since I was a kid, man. That's one of my little needle drop joints back when I was like I say 9, 10 years old. But when we first started playing with it, Tip just did the hook first. You know, he was pacing around. He's like, turn the mic on. So I played it for him, and he was like, G's by the trees, on his shirt, with a shirt back. Look, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. No verse, it was just a hook. Man, everybody stuck their head in the room like, bro, that shit is out of here.
So it would stand out from every other thing that had been created at that point?
Everything else that we have done.
So you
not,
knew.
Not saying, not shitting on anything that was done, but that particular song just had everybody excited like, boy, this is about to be some shit.
You can't tell me nothing, Kanye West.
Can't tell me nothing.
I heard about the different versions of how that
how it
came together. But initially.
It was so different. I liked it though, as far as the creator, especially with the and the effect that they put on that woman's voice, man, that's really made it so unique. But the minute I heard what Ye was saying on there, I was like, oh yeah,
this is it.
This is out of here.
So how'd you get the record to Ye? Like, how did y'all end up collabing?
Get that call.
Okay. Oh well, Can't Tell Me Nothing come from a song that I produced for Jeezy called I Got Money.
Right.
Which was featuring T.I. So Ye was like, that was one of his favorite songs off the album, which wasn't even a single. Back to that, you know, like people can like the singles, but then you got some people who just
track 8.
Yeah, track 8 could be their favorite record, you know. And Ye was like, hey, I want to get on the record. And so when he got on it, Jeezy and them was like, all right, cool, yeah, it's cool, but you're talking about something different. But he was really talking about getting money, but he was just speaking of the whole thing of how money could just change your mindset and how you could just not see certain shit. So you can't tell me nothing because I'm getting it now. So Ye was like, hey man, well, let me just do a remix, man, because I got a whole other concept that I want to do to this. And Jeezy was like, hey, man, well, if you want to get into that, let me just plug you in with Toomp. Because he got the files. He's the original
that
creator.
guy.
And I'm going to let y'all get together and do that. And really, man, that's really the start of me and Kanye just even working, period.
Word.
Is that Jeezy connect right there.
So how did Jeezy's ad-lib stay?
Well, cause we still had the original track, the files, the whole session too. I Got Money. But what we did was took certain instruments out. We took my horns out, kept my drums and Jeezy's ad-libs, and we just built the whole new the orchestra with it. With the strings and changed the bass line and whatnot. So. Boom.
When did Jeezy find out he was on the record?
Well, Jeezy,
because it's that sauce on the song
when it hit, when it came out.
So Jeezy found out that he was on the record when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold
because see what happened. Jeezy wasn't really fond of the remix. He was just like, man, and he was like, and Ye was like, well, can I just make a new song off of
what you want? Yeah.
And boom, that's what he ended up doing. He ended up eventually getting on the remix, but yeah, can't tell me nothing, bro. Magic.
I'm gonna do. Oh, go ahead.
This just Big Brother with Kanye and Jay, putting that together and kind of hearing what Ye was talking about on that record, and him and Jay kind of having their situation, but that kind of him extending the olive branch. You know what I'm saying? Like when you first heard the song after it was together, what were your thoughts after what was being put together?
Well, it was funny, man. That's when we was still down here working on the album. We was at Doppler Studios. And Ye was like, right before I left the studio, Ye was like, hey, man, I got this idea, man. He said the hook. He was like, my big brother is big. I'm like, okay, I'm bobbing my head to it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, say that shit again. And so I started tapping my feet on some BPM shit. I'm like, all right, I got that. I said, man, tomorrow I might be about an hour late because I'm going to be working on that all night. And I came through, man, and I just put a whole melody to it. And the original melody I was going to do was... with Prince, It's Gonna Be Lonely.
Wow.
And because I used to love most of the old school records that you done heard me either interpolate or either sample, is the end of the record. There's something about the end of a lot of these soul records, man, that where it just
like, they foot into it.
Or the solo part is right there too.
Yeah, and that's that part. So, and where was I? Oh, and
told him you was gonna be late.
Yeah, I told him I was gonna be late. And I gave him, when I brought the beat, he was like, oh my God, that shit is crazy. And so he rapped on it, and he laid some of it down, but he didn't finish because I think he had to tour. And then we ended up moving from down here and finished the album in New York. So we got to New York, I finally heard the whole record. I'm like, oh my God, this is out of here, bro. Yeah. And because I just heard my big brother is Big's brother. I didn't know it was going to be a song, speaking of Jay-Z.
Wow.
But what's funny about that song is that the word had got around Def Jam that Ye got a song talking about Jay.
And they wasn't. And
they didn't know if it was good or bad.
Right.
It was just like, and Jay wanted to come hear it. So I was there when Jay
heard it for
came
the first time.
And heard it for the first time.
What was that like?
His reaction.
It was like tense a little bit, Jay, but man, come on, he one of the coolest motherfuckers in the world. He was just like, so let's hit the song.
Did you press play?
No, the engineer pressed.
Okay, so
I was sitting at the mixing board.
Okay, so y'all sitting there, and Jay and Hove walk in.
Hove and Jay Brown. Yep.
Okay, and they sit down, and he's like, "All right, play the record."
Yeah. First we just talk. Had a little small talk first. Just about whatever. He, because me and him had met a while back. So he's just like, "Huh, you again?" He's like, "Well, you putting in work?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, we got to go in sooner or later." I'm like, "All right," not knowing that was going to happen for real.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. I ended up having to do another version to that record because Prince, first he didn't want to clear it. And then second, and later on, he hit us like, hey man, y'all can use it, but I got to own 100% of it.
Damn.
And so Def Jam flew me back here because I didn't bring that particular laptop back to Atlanta because we had already had recorded it. So, because I was working off 2 or 3 different Macs at that point. So I had to come back down here and make a new version of Big Brother. While the limo sitting outside the studio, they flew me down there. Nobody even knew I was back down here yet.
Oh my God.
Limo straight from the airport, straight to my studio in the West End. I went right upstairs, opened that laptop up, pulled up that whole beat, and used the same instruments. I had to move the melody around and make a whole new melody off of that. And next thing you know, bro, shit, man, I say about an hour and a half, I'm jumping back in the limo.
Back to the airport.
Another flight, wait for me to get back to New York.
Damn.
And they lined all the vocals up with the new beat. And that was a drum roll moment too, because Ye was like, man,
he hadn't heard it.
Yeah, this new one better sound.
Woo!
And he ended up loving that one more than the original.
That's amazing, bro. Because that's literally a roll of a dice right there.
Yeah, and when Jay heard it, he was just like, hey man, that's a nice song. He was like, yeah, that's how you feel, man, you know?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he was just like, hey man, we got to get up soon.
That's amazing.
So that Get Up Soon turned into Say Hello.
Yep.
Okay. How did that go down? American Gangster.
American Gangster. I got a call from Big John Platt. And John hit me. He was like, yo, you know, I know everybody talking about Jay-Z about to retire, but, you know, he's going to do this American Gangster album, you know. Fly to New York, come on. You know, I know you got money. You got to pay for your whole hotel and everything. Get on up here. And shit, I get up there, man, and he got Jermaine Dupri, No ID.
Ooh.
Usher, Jay, Guru, my man L Rock, everybody in the studio. We just chilling. And the dude was like, Jay was like, hey man, I done been listening to beats all day. I'm gonna just let you play 3 tracks. I'm like, for real? That's some bullshit.
For real?
Yeah, he's like, man, only 3 tracks, dog. I said, man. So I played the original track, you know, with no samples first. Of course, you're gonna try to get that on. And he was like, okay, that's cool. And my manager was like, man, go on and play that shit. And so the one track you see it on YouTube, I was actually putting it together knowing that was the one I was going to take to New York. I don't know if you've seen the footage called Benzino Walking to the Room.
Nah.
Yeah, it's a part, when I was working on the Say Hello track. It's on YouTube. So when I played that one, man, and I was sitting next to Guru at the mixing board, and Jay was just back there bobbing his head. Next thing you know, shit, he hit the booth.
He just went in the booth.
And knocked it out.
He didn't say nothing to nobody.
Yeah, he was just like, he mumbling a little bit. I was mumbling at first, like, he's like, what you doing over there? I was just like, and he was just watching me for about like a minute or two. Then he went back to his shit. So we just letting the beat play. And man, shit, he went to that booth. Once again, no pen, no paper.
Because you seen Tip do it before.
Seen Tip do it. And I've been hearing about the whole one take hold type shit. Yeah, he went in and knocked that shit out, bro. And Jermaine Dupri is on the hook. That's who Say Hello.
Oh,
That's
wow.
Jermaine Dupri saying that part.
Get the fuck out of here.
Jermaine was like, cause Jay was like, say hello to the bad guy. And JD was like,
they say I'm the bad.
He was like, let me enhance that say hello. And JD went in there and just put that shit to it. Yeah, it was dope.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
shout out to JD. You know, I got a song on I got a song with Currency, Fortune 500. I produced that one.
Fire.
You like that?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Thank you, bro.
Good Life. Yay.
Yes, sir.
Was that just because y'all were working together around that time?
That happened. All that magic happened in Doppler Studios down here in Atlanta. Yes, sir.
Real quick, in terms of the timing of was Good Life, which was the order of each song? Was it?
Can't Tell Me Nothing. Good Life, then Big Brother.
Got it. Okay.
The influence of trap music now, because we were talking about Hove. So I'm going Beyonce now. Drunken Love.
Yep.
You got the song 7-Eleven. Would you say that the trap music directly influenced those?
Hell yeah, all day, for sure. Definitely.
And where's the influence in those records? Specifically those two.
It's the 808, the whole drive, the tempo, just the bounce.
Yeah.
You know, the anthem type of, orchestration around it. Yeah, it's trapped out, Definitely with the 808 and the whole bounce of it.
Staying with the ladies, who would you credit as the first woman to do trap music?
Wow. That's interesting.
Because we were talking earlier.
Damn, that's a good one. I'm trying to work that one out. I can almost give it to my girl and them, Diamond and
Diamond from Crime Mob?
Yeah, the Crime Mob. Yeah, I could kind of give it to them.
Okay.
Diamond and Princess, yeah.
Princess. So I was thinking, we were trying to figure this out, right? Shout out to PB. We were trying to figure it out. We like, I don't know. We kind of was going back and forth. I think it was, rest in peace to Gangsta Boo.
Yes.
Gangsta Boo. See, that was Crunk.
That was Crunk. So that's what I'm saying. It's different, right?
Yeah.
But you would say Diamond. The first female rapper. To do trap music.
Them, the Diamond and Princess. Yeah,
Diamond and Princess.
What I love about this is that somebody in the comments will be like, "Oh, you didn't name so and so."
Right.
Yeah, you gonna get that. Yeah, you gonna get that.
Leave it up in the
but
comments.
even after saying their name, I'm still trying to think of somebody else. It's like females. That's a great question.
I just couldn't figure it out. I mean, you would know, but
you know what, Rashida. Rashida from Rashida had jumped on a few, but it was still crunk then when she got in there.
Yeah,
and even they were kind of crunk. Now think about it, Crime Mob and them, but it was more. You know, it's hard to say because now when I think of Crime Mob, that's kind of like crunk too.
Yeah, it is. That's why I was like, Stilettos.
You want me to tell you who did it first?
Who?
Foxy Brown on the Dope Boys in the Trap remix.
Oh wow!
Yes, if you find the in the street mixtape that we put out.
Ooh.
Foxy Brown came down here, her and her brother Gavin, and she got on the Dope Boys in the Trap remix. And that shit hard.
So she would be
the
first female rapper to rap over trap
over some
music.
Trap shit. I give it to doggone Foxy Brown.
Wow,
yes,
that's amazing to hear that.
Yes.
So wait. Not the first female rapper to rap on trap music. The first female rapper to do trap music.
So she's saying, he's saying that's the first female to rap over trap music.
Yeah, she definitely got on that Dope Boys in the Trap remix.
Got it.
You know what I mean? And that shocked a lot of people, just even the whole, you know, relate, you know, the whole thing with them, her coming down here, jumping on the Southern record. But you're right.
So the first female rapper to rap on trap music is from New York. That's interesting.
To rap on trap music. Wow. That's the first one I could think of. Foxy Brown getting on that Dope Boys in the Trap remix. But like you're saying, but back to the first female to actually do it, to have that, a song, not like a feature. Boy, that's hard to say.
Yeah.
And see, and I'm trying to not just think of the 06 to 08 era.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think even after that, later on, even if it's 2010, like, who could I say would deserve to earn that title? My God. It's hard to say, dog. I wish
that's
I could
a good question.
The comments gonna let us know for sure.
Oh, no, they for sure. Somebody like, oh, it's so-and-so. And you be like, oh, I didn't.
Okay. I would love to see them comments later on, too.
The homie G Malone gave us a great story about how he linked up with you. You gave him one with Certified.
Man, Certified was our first big one.
What I was very impressed with is your willingness to work with them off of, you know, he said West Coast Cam hit him up. Or I think he hit West Coast Cam. Or
Cam, not Cam.
I think it was Cam.
Cam called you. No, it was somebody else.
Well, let him tell the story.
Mac 10, I know he was with Mac 10.
Yeah,
right.
Who called me for that G Malone? My gosh.
Well, the important part about it was that he went to Atlanta for the first time and got up with you, called you. You was like, hey, man, look, pull up on me.
Yeah.
In the first day, first session, y'all created Certified.
Yeah, he came to the studio in the West End.
Akon just pulled up.
Yeah,
no,
Cam
called Akon.
Cam called Akon.
That's what it was.
Akon pulled up to the studio.
Yeah.
But the fact that you guys created some magic within like the first session, man.
What was the guy name? I'm trying to think of dark-skinned dude who was kind of the A&R of that.
Boo. Was it Boo?
No.
Not Boo?
No, it's another dude.
Malik.
God damn it. There you go.
Yep.
Malik.
Shout out to Malik.
That's who put that.
Yep.
Yeah, Malik played a major part in that.
Shout out to Malik.
Malik.
Got it.
That's who it was. I ain't seen him in years, man.
Yeah.
That's who, Malik played a major part.
But your willingness, like to Chuck's point, your willingness to work with somebody who, even with me, like, you just about off a reference, like, yo, so-and-so want to get with you. All right, it's all good.
Yeah, that's because when a solid guy hits you, on something, you be like, okay, if you solid, I know whoever you bring it to me, it's got to be 100. You know what I mean?
Right.
I work off, the vibe and the energy of that person and what they bring. So I feel like, as men, everybody kind of know, like, okay, I know I can put these two together. I know they'll be all right. And boom, there it is.
When you were doing Certified, did you already have that or you cooked it up?
No, I cooked that up.
You cooked that up.
And that's what I felt. You got to work off the vibe too. That's why sometimes when artists call me and say, man, send some music.
Send me a pack.
It's like shooting at an invisible target. Because it's like, I don't know what you own now, and I'm not trying to judge off what I've heard from you last. You might want something totally different.
Do you prefer somebody to reach out to you and ask you for, send me that da-da-da shit? Or do you want
sometimes, my first thing I would prefer, let me fly up there to see what the hell you're doing. Let me just catch a vibe.
So I can cook.
Yeah, then you sit down and see where your head at. Let me see what you got going on. Let me hear your conversation. I'm like, okay, I know what to give you. I know what you deserve. Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes, yeah, now that helps if you ask for a certain thing, just like the E40 bands.
Right, man. Amazing, by the way.
Thank you, man. And 40 was like, yo, he kind of said, hey, man, I want to give me a certain type of energy, just something,
The only reason why I brought it up, because it just depends on either who the artist is or whatever. Sometimes people get offended by that. Like, yeah, okay, you know me. I think we were talking to Hit Boy, and Hit Boy was like, when Niggas in Paris came out, everybody's like, send me the Niggas
Give me
in
one
Paris
of them.
pack.
Give me one of them.
Give me one of them. And he's like
that don't mean that's gonna work for you.
Yeah, I got more shit. You know what I'm saying? So I was wondering your thought process when artists come to you directly for stuff.
Yeah, and it's honestly, and it's cool for an artist to make that request, but a lot of times I love to catch that vibe, man. Because I might get around some artists and I hear what he's working on, I'd be like, oh, okay, I want to go into my hip hop bag. Yeah. I want to use these type drums. I don't want no 808 on this song. I want straight live drums. This right here gonna be more rhythm. It's gonna be a musical joint. And then it might be in a mode we say, all right, I'm gonna give you a beat-driven beat, just beat-driven, maybe a little music, but crazy 808s, and just the bounce, just the feel. But then, it varies, man. But, you got some artists, the more lyrical artists are the ones who request more music.
Got it.
We gonna wrap up, but I want to ask you real quick, what advice would you give to up and coming producers?
Up and coming producers. It's a few things I would say, man. Once you realize that you can create music and that you've gotten good at it, and you done played a few beats for the people in your neighborhood or some of your classmates, and once they tell you you're dope, or you may go to a beat battle and win a few beat battles. It's no longer a hobby at that point, depending on how far you want to go, Somewhere in the equation, you got to learn the game, pick up a book. Donald Passman, there's a few little music industry books now to understand. And I definitely wouldn't want them to go almost 20, 15 years and not see a royalty check.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even off the Shadi stuff, I didn't get no royalties off none of that. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of records I put out between 85 and 97 that, I'm trying to register them now though.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I would say, learn your business, man. Learn the business. Try to be innovative. Don't use the drum packs that everybody using. A lot of producers starting to sound alike right now. And that's why we came into the game, man. It was more about uniqueness. Same thing with the rappers. If you hear somebody else use a sample, I ain't gonna use that because such and such used it. Or, I ain't gonna do my drums like that. This beat remind me of Swiss beats. This beat remind me of such and such. Let me turn the machine off and start on a whole new beat.
Yeah.
So try to be innovative, man. Try to bring something to the table something fresh. A lot of cats just be, glad to swim in the pool. I want to make a splash.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
I like
try to, try some new drums, man. And like I say, learn the game. Get a good attorney, find a good attorney on deck, who you can go to, just pick his brain on a few things. Of course, you might have to hit him with a little retainer. But if you're talented, super talented, if he see that in you, that particular entertainment lawyer may work something out with you, especially if you see that you're getting some type of traction. Because everybody, don't have that retainer to put down for an attorney or whatnot. So it's a few of them out there that'll help you out.
I do want to have you just mention this because we talked about it off camera, but I would love to hear your thoughts on camera and for the audience for sure. Your thoughts on AI and where the industry is going nowadays as a producer and somebody is an executive in this business. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Does it scare you? Do you see the
embrace it?
Like, what were your thoughts?
Like I said, yeah, man. Honestly, for me, being in the game so long, man, and have just been able to touch all these different type of machines, to where just think the first drum machine, a drum player felt like they was gonna be out of business.
Yeah.
Because you got all these drums, and next thing you know, you start hearing a lot of these songs in the 80s. It was no longer a live drummer, which they're still respected, just as far as the craft and the skill. But it got to the point where a lot of 80s records were being produced with drum machines, and drummers felt like, oh man, that's some bullshit. And next thing you know, you had synthesizers or not, all these different type of, claviers and all these different synths. But synths didn't really simulate anything. Synthesizer was a new sound. So that was like an alien itself. Just all that.
Yeah.
So synths was really synths. But then these people started making these keyboards, workstations is what they call them, like a Roland Phantom, a Triton, Motif, and all of them, to where they had the drums, the horns, the strings, all these. Yeah, this you could get the whole band in this one thing. So that was like the first level of AI when you really think about it. If you really, that done took over the whole band. So you think about all the, L.A. and Babyface, all them big R&B records. A lot of those were done with sequencers. It wasn't no bands, Some of them had bands as far as somebody might play some live pianos on certain stuff, but you were still able to do what a band could do just off one keyboard.
One keyboard, yeah.
And that took away a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And a lot of musicians who were getting paid, for sessions or whatnot, hell yeah, they were scratching their head trying to figure that out. Yeah. So it's one of them situations, even back then, those guys like the Jimmy Jam and Lewis, yeah, they were live musicians, but they knew, hey, we got to get up with this technology.
Yeah, and learn this. You have to
embrace it. Just like that classic interview with Barry White. He's like, hey man, everything's about to be done in computers. So now that we got this AI thing, it really ain't too much difference because we were programming these drum machines to do what a band do. So now we are so advanced, so now you could just type it in and say, hey, make that request. Give me a country version of T.I. Motivation, Let me do let's see an orchestra version of what you know about that.
And you embrace it.
And on top of that, if your business is right, you're going to
eat off. I still own the rights to it. Right. So now let's get into this.
Right.
I'm one of those guys. I've always been this guy, man. If everybody going this way, I'm going to find this other way. They can be like, damn, Toomp, how you got there before us? And I'm thankful that I'm not in a hurry to sell my catalog to anybody. But I feel that where technology is going, it's going to be a flip, man, to where the royalty rates and the money is going to be so crazy because for a person to cut all these people, if you heard, $30 to $70 million.
Facts.
Just know that they have done some type of research.
Oh, they done all the math.
It's 100x.
And to know. So my whole goal is to stay healthy and live long enough to watch this shit when it flips and to get what I get.
Well, no,
what I deserve.
I just partnered with a company. I can't talk about it, but I just partnered with a company and we're doing that exact thing that you're talking about.
Yeah, because I'm thankful that I don't have to do that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. My first real check, I bought some acres, man. Yeah. You know what I mean?
20, right?
Yeah. Start flipping cars. I've been flipping cars before then, but then now I'm at a whole nother level when it comes to that. I don't have a lot, but I just know how to keep them in warehouses and just flip cars. Just, okay, everybody want that. I called it for a low price, fix it up, boom. By the time I'm done with it, I'm making like $10,000 off each car, no less than $8,000. Right. So, but back to that, hell yeah, man. Technology is about to go somewhere to where the royalty rate is about to go up and our music is about to be way more valuable than we think. And these people who are buying these
they know
catalogs know something, man. And dude, straight up, I mean, who wouldn't want 70 million, wide today?
Have you gotten an offer yet for your catalog?
I had a few offers. Yeah.
And you just holding, you just waiting.
It's cool. I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
Is there a number that you're waiting on, or you just kind of just kicking back and seeing?
Honestly, it's not really even a number, man. Okay. Cause straight up, I'm gonna tell you, I and not like I'm scared of money. I've been getting money. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I know you only worked a real
on
job
both sides of it. Yeah, it's been getting money. So when I got my first million, I would say, "Wow, okay, that's cool, baby. Yeah, cool.
That's a flex right there."
Nice. And then another check came. It was like, all right.
What's the biggest check you gotten?
My first, that was all on one check?
All on one check. All on one check.
It was like 1.2.
Are you serious?
All on one check, yeah.
Do you take that to like Wells Fargo or like?
Nah, I just tell you, I kept it for a while and showed it to the people who who love me and who I love. They're like, hey man, look at this shit. Let me show you something. Come here. Like what the fuck?
Do you still got the stub?
Yeah, I still got it.
But what do you do? Do you literally just take that to the bank?
Yeah, just take it to the bank, go on and do it, and just put your mind, got to get your mind right. Because my whole thing right now, let's say somebody just wire 70 million to your account.
What you gonna do?
You have to do something. Either you give see me, I'm
business is right.
You gotta have a plan.
Yeah.
You gotta say, all right, I'm gonna put a skyscraper over here. I'm gonna develop this land that I've been sitting on and paying taxes on. But to just have that, just to go buy another Ferrari and go to Icebox and buy more jewelry, that's not what not me.
Nah. I'm with you.
Yeah, you know, I'm doing some major things, but I would want to. You got to have a plan, man, when you get that kind of money. That's why you see a lot of people win the lottery and just taxes alone will knock their ass off.
And they'll be broke in a couple years. They don't know what to do.
Because once you in the system, you in there. You know what I mean? So and if it's just sitting in the bank, you getting taxed for all that interest. That you
gotta let your money work for you.
Make that money work. You got to get it active. So you got a lot of people who's taking these deals but still don't know money yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But my whole thing, I know money, but at the same time, I'm just thankful that I can really sit back and say, hey man, I hear y'all, but let me just
hold on.
See what's going on, because something is going on now. Even with this AI, right? I feel that everybody who still own their catalog is gonna eat crazy off of AI, because just think, when you say, hey, give me a Toomp type beat, the fact that you say Toomp,
yeah,
my royalties got to be there.
Yeah.
Or I'll be able to sue the shit out of y'all. You said my name. So if you asking for this feel, and I could play something just like, think about it. What was the Robin Thicke song with T.I.?
Blurred Lines.
Blurred Lines. They didn't sample Marvin Gaye. It was the feel.
Yeah.
And it did feel like got to give it up.
100%.
You heard it. So the minute that this AI or whatever plays something that sound like one of my joints, especially if you made the request, give me a Toomp type beat, or if it sound like any of my shit so close, yeah, this my whole thing. Long as nobody is getting jerked around, long as we got it worked out. Hey, yo, AI, you can put all my music out. Long as I understand, we got a understanding of what my percentage gonna be of every download or whatever stream that y'all use. Long as we got that business right, man, you can do whatever. I'm not afraid of any of that. And that's why I feel that that's going to bring the value of our music up, because that's why a lot of people start selling their catalogs, because in the system with this whole streaming thing, they made us feel like our music was no longer as valuable.
Facts.
But in reality, it really is. It's 10 times more valuable. Because earlier when you said something about how our music, it'll start down here and it'll take a while for it to get to New York.
Yep, now it's
everywhere. It'll take a while for West Coast. So just imagine like Spider-Man when he shoot his web.
Slowly spreading.
So you put something out, all right, it's gonna cover Nebraska, California, and Seattle. Boom, it's covering the West Coast. And you shoot over here and it's gonna cover the South or the North. It's gonna get Philly, Connecticut, New York, and maybe Maryland. You shoot down here, and it's gonna take a while for those distributors or those trucks or planes to fly those songs to these regions. Now, man, you just hit enter.
It's there.
And the whole planet can get your shit.
Yeah.
That alone lets you know that our music is way more valuable. Because it can be
instantaneous
distribution.
Come on, man. So now, as an independent artist, you put something out, man, you might not be hitting for shit in your city, but next thing you know, a promoter in Brazil hitting you like, man, you can barely hear what the hell he's saying. Hey, man, well, how much you charge for show, man? We want to get you over here in Brazil. Your song is hot.
Yeah.
And all you did was hit enter. You ain't even signed to nobody.
Right.
You just made a hot ass record and put a nice video to it. And if it catch on a whole other side of the planet, that's just from you know.
I feel like that's a whole nother conversation in general, and we could go all day on that, but I just want to say this before we wrap. Like, I appreciate you, man. Like,
man,
the
thanks
game
for having me,
and
bro.
the wisdom, and just all of my favorite producers are DJs.
Okay,
all
nice.
of them. I mean, all the best producers are DJs. All of them.
Most of them cut hair too, or either draw or paint.
JD, you know, Dre, like all of Manny don't get the credit he deserves. But all of the best producers are DJs, and I just want to say that, you know, publicly. I appreciate you
give it to Manny
and what
Fresh,
you
I'm glad you brought old Manny up,
and what you done for not only your region but for hip hop. So
for hip hop,
appreciate you.
Yeah.
DJ Toomp, man. Thank you for the conversation, the jewels, and just your time, brother, man. It's Homegrown Radio.
Hey, what y'all thought about that song I did for Game?
Which one?
Welcome to
Oh, bro. I gotta listen to it again. I don't remember. Oh, no. I know what you're talking about. It was cool. I would be honest with you. I want to hear DJ Toomp at 100 BPM.
Okay. Oh, I go crazy.
I haven't heard DJ Toomp at 100 BPM yet.
Oh, I can do that.
So that's what I want to hear.
Okay.
Because that's something I always gave JD credit for, and JD and Manny and Tim is they always gave me tempo. And so I understand like your tempo between 75 and 85 BPM, and you don't produce in double.
My 100 may have been that the last one that may have been in that close to 100 may have been that you looking good, shawty, showing that ass. Maybe but that was from the first album that you ain't did.
Okay, yeah, I didn't. Yeah,
and
but your closest one that was to me the biggest one that reached me was I Love It.
I Love It. Yeah, that was more up tempo.
91.
91, right? And I still was scratching the surface on that one. Yeah, you're right.
God over here.
Yeah, so like I know all of them. What you know about that is I know all of your tempos, but I'm just saying like I want to hear Toomp at 100 BPM.
At 100, okay.
Yeah. Next conversation we have, we gonna have that Toomp with 100.
Yeah, not in double though. All the producers, a lot of producers, most producers in the South produce in double time.
Right.
So you produce in real time, which is like because you're doing real chords.
Yeah.
Which is what I can respect.
But I still be having it doubled. If it's 70, it's 140.
No, I understand it, but they double in different. It's a technical conversation, but you don't know me is produced in double.
Yeah. Check. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I would love to hear you at 100 BPM. But go ahead.
All right. Yeah, we'll get 100 out. Yeah.
DJ Toomp, man. Appreciate you, brother. It's home on radio.
Thank you, man.
DJ.
All the way from the West Coast.
Yes, man.
Thank you, fellas.
Indeed.
Yeah, man. Glad to be a part.
We'll catch y'all next time.